Do you own an embroidery machine and want a really easy project? I've got one for you right here. Stay tuned. So what we need to make this charm is marine vinyl. If you're wondering what that is, you've probably seen it before and didn't realize it. But it is a piece of vinyl that is used for sewing, and oftentimes it's used to make boating seats or even booths at restaurants. You might have seen this at a retro style diner. And I have a number of sources in the description below where you can get this. And as you can see, I have a lot of smaller scraps that were left over from previous projects. And these are perfect to use for these charms. And that's what we'll be using today. So the design we're going to be making are these mini monogram charms. And the design is from Parker on the Porch. The link to it will be in the description below this video. So what you want to do is you want to take your embroidery hoop and add some tearaway stabilizer. This is just a regular medium weight tearaway. You can get in a lot of different places. I'll put a link to some sources below. You'll add the design to your embroidery machine just as your manual tells you. And you can make this design on a 4x4 hoop or larger. So pretty much any embroidery machine can make this design. So you put the hoop on the machine. And the first step is a placement stitch. So you can see that the machine is stitching out the placement stitch. And this is going to show us exactly where we need to place our vinyl scraps. So now that it's completed that step, we can take the hoop off the machine but leave the stabilizer in the hoop. And it may be hard to see, let me turn it, but you can see a faint letter A. So I'm using white thread on a white stabilizer, but I can see it just fine. I need to have a piece of vinyl that is just slightly bigger than this letter A. So I'll show you right here. I have these very small scraps of leftover marine vinyl. And again, I have some sources in the description below where you can get this. And if you happen to live near a shop that does boat upholstery, they'll often have scraps of this that they'll give you for free. So first, I have taped the piece of marine vinyl with just regular Scotch tape on the back of the hoop. Then I'm going to turn it over and do the same thing on the front side, because this charm that we're making, of course, has a front and a back. And we want to use the same vinyl on both sides so it looks nice. There we go. Now we're going to put this back on the machine and stitch the second step, and it's just going to stitch the outline of the letter A. So technically this isn't even embroidery, it's basically a form of applique. So it's very quick and very simple to do. So you can see that letter A is starting to form there. And I'm using a size 12 embroidery needle for this vinyl, but you may need to experiment with different types of vinyl and different needle sizes and see what works for your particular machine. So the stitching portion of this is already done. Here's our letter A. So the next step is to remove our stabilizer from the hoop, and since it's tearaway stabilizer, we're just going to tear it away. So this is very quick and easy. Remove your tape. And there we have it. So of course, what we need to do next is cut this out. So use long, smooth strokes and cut about 1/8 of an inch away from the stitching line. Just like that. And what I'll do for a design like this is I'll cut around the outer edges first. Let me set that aside. And then I'll go back in here and cut out these inner portions. I find that to work a bit easier. And there we go. Now this is the smaller size, and Parker on the Porch does offer a larger size. This is about 2.5 inches high, and there's a size that's about 3 to 4 inches high as well. Now on these smaller ones, I find that it's a bit too fiddly to cut out the inner portions on some of the letters, so I just leave them and make sure that I use a contrasting thread. And I'm going to flip this around to the back, and I'm just going to trim off these little thread tails. And if you get some little stubborn spots, like maybe they're a little bit of a notch or something, you can actually use a standard cigarette lighter, just a lighter, to kind of melt those threads away. So there we have it. The final step is to use a hole punch. This is a leather punch I bought at Harbor Freight. It was around $8. You don't need anything fancy. And you just punch a hole in this top portion right here. So now that I've punched my hole in my charm, I need to put something through that hole to hang it on something. So there you have a number of different options. You can use this 4-inch long piece of ball chain. You can use ribbon, or even this faux suede cord, or basically anything else you have around the house. And you just simply put it through the little hole at the top, and you're done. Very, very easy. And then I'll show you on some of these other ones some variations that I've done. So for this one, the opening in the letter D was large enough that I decided to cut it out. However, this one has enough of a contrast that I didn't feel was necessary. On this one, I used a fuchsia thread with the light pink. And you can use these charms for a number of different things. I have one on my lanyard that I wear to work. You can also use it to decorate a handbag or to label different containers for things around your house. It would even look great as a trim on a gift. Hope this was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe.